physical science, you often have to use formulae to solve problems. One of the things you need to know is how to change the subject of the formula. In other words, to change which variable is alone on the left-hand side of the equal sign. This makes it easier to solve a problem using a formula. The subject of the formula is the variable that the formula calculates, and it's usually written alone on the left-hand side of the equal sign. To manipulate a formula means to work with it, to change it, to move things around inside it without making it false. So for example, we have a formula here, capital T equals small t plus 273. To understand this formula, you must know that when we measure temperature in the unit degrees Celsius, we represent that with the symbol small t. But when we measure temperature in the unit Kelvin, which is the SI unit, then we represent this with the symbol capital T. And the way in which these two units are related to one another is that the temperature in Kelvin, capital T, is equal to whatever the temperature in degrees Celsius is plus another 273. So in this equation or formula, we have capital T on the left-hand side of the equation or formula alone. And so we say it is the subject of the equation or the subject of the formula. The word formula means a particular kind of equation, an equation which is used to find something out. For example, in this case, to find out what the temperature in Kelvin would be if we knew what the temperature in degrees Celsius was. This same formula can be written in different ways. It can also be written as small t equals capital T minus 273. In other words, if you wanted to know what the temperature in degrees Celsius was when you were given the temperature in Kelvin, all you need to do is take the temperature in Kelvin and subtract 273 from it. These two are identical in that they mean exactly the same thing. They've got the same relationship between capital T and small t, but they just expressed in different ways. One has the capital T as the subject of the formula and the other has a small t. So the first one is easier to use if you're trying to find out what capital T is, whereas the second one is easier to use if you're trying to find out what small t is. Can you see that these two formulae actually mean the same thing? So you need to learn in this lesson how to change one form of the formula into another form. But before we get to the details of how to manipulate a formula, ask yourself this question. If we were wanting to convert 25 degrees Celsius to Kelvin, which variable, capital T or small t, would we want to be the subject of the formula? In other words, what are we required to find out? And what about if B, you were asked to convert from 500 Kelvin to degrees Celsius? Which variable, capital T or small t, is now required and therefore best put as the subject of the formula? Pause the movie while you answer that. In A, we convert to Kelvin, symbol capital T, so that's what's required. In B, we convert to degrees Celsius, symbol small t, so that's what's required. So in A, we need capital T to be the subject of the formula. In B, we need small t.